everybody. Thanks for joining me. My name is Evan Radisik. I'm the Managing Director of the Cloud Software Association. Thanks for joining us for another masterclass. Today, with us we have Shubham Sood from JustCall. He's been able to do something really incredible, and I think something a lot of us struggle with, or at least are challenged with, is growing partner revenue. And he's been able to kind of do that systematically over the last 2 years and grew it from essentially zero to 1 million annual recurring. So he's going to take us through some tactics, strategies, things he kind of put in place to get him here. So I won't take up much of time. If you do have questions, and I know you will, post them in the comments, and we've actually set aside some time at the end to kind of just fly through them and actually answer every single one. So I'll let Shubham to basically just do a quick little intro and get into the presentation. So thanks.
Yep. Thanks a lot, Evan, for having me here, and Sunir, who's not here, and the entire Cloud Software Association. I've been part of this organization for quite some time. You guys are doing some very good stuff. I think that majority of the community in this space is underrepresented, and I think that there's a lot of value add that can come to businesses if they can scale up their partner program. Without much ado, I'll start with the presentation. So this entire presentation is going to be what we did and how we really did it. Very simple and basic strategies. It's more about aligning your company's product vision in lieu with set of partners. So my name is Shubham. I work with a company called JustCall. We have close to 35 product integrations and 400 partners, and this was zero 2 years ago. So we've come a long way. We also have made multiple other products which are running in the market, and so far our partner sourced revenue for JustCall has been to $1 million ARR. It crossed that mark in December 2020. Today's session is mainly going to be focused on these areas. We'll discuss everything about what the market is really about, what problem you could solve as a company, why is it a very good channel for your business, and how you can find your audience, how you can communicate with them, how to really make it work. Other companies that have inspired to some extent us, our motive to start a partner program, some metrics around how we scaled in the last particular year. And at the end of the session, I'll be taking all the question and answers that you guys can post throughout my presentation in the Zoom chat. So I'll talk with the opportunity.
Sir, can everybody put their mic on mute? Just there's a few dogs in there, I think.
In itself, it's a very huge market. If you're talking about the partner program, we're talking close to the entire software industry, according to CompTIA, which is the industry trade association, is somewhere around $5 trillion US, and the total size of the market in this space is 1.8 trillion US value added GDP, which makes US definitely the best market to find these people. United States in itself is also one of the most advanced market, the most mature market when we're talking about software, and it's growing rapidly at one of the fastest pace. One example that I really look up to is HubSpot, which has close to 60,000 agencies, partners all around the entire world, and they have a very different tiered structure, and they've categorized all their partners into different categories. So who could be your ideal partners? They're definitely writers, publishers, or bloggers who are writing about or covering that particular space. There are software resellers and IT service providers, and these are basically people or vendors who are in this space who help other companies implement your product. So it's very important to understand this term because this is actually a market. Not everyone is technically skilled to actually put in the time to develop the resources, the knowledge to actually implement a software product. So these IT service providers come in and they act as your partners into the market, and they implement your actual product for their end clients. So I think that this is a personal future prediction that that the demand is going to surge, and definitely cloud adoption uh, has increased for small businesses around the world. So it's just getting started. A common typical problem that every founder or partner manager faces in this space is that they they're not sure how they can get some revenue, or if this is a good channel to explore for their particular product. I think that a good turning point to actually understand if you should explore this channel is finding initial product market fit for your product. If you have some early revenue, some users for your particular product, you should definitely explore this channel. uh, you At the earliest stages, it is very difficult to also identify the partners who will be working with you. Obviously, your product is very new to the market, which makes it difficult for other people to actually believe the vision of your product, making it big or solving problems for their end clients. And I think that, like, I personally, like, uh, sort of was very I didn't let that stop me, and I'd suggest that you shouldn't also let that stop you. You should just look for the right partners. Keep looking till the time you sort of find those partners who are willing to work with you. Uh, so the most important, key takeaway till now that I really want to send out is that, I mean, even if you haven't started yet or still in the earliest stages of building a partner program, you should have that idea of actually having that sort of mindset. If not today, then definitely down the line you are going to bring a partner program to your product, and you can sort of add incremental revenue uh, uh, to your existing product. In the long run, definitely, these partnerships will matter. Probably in the short run you don't see, but they do bring brand credibility and your product visibility, which I'll talk about in the presentation. So summarizing what we have discussed, it's a profitable program, and it's one of the most effective customer acquisition channel you can have for your existing business. One of the key insights that I personally learned in this program was that there's going to be low churn, and especially if you're selling SaaS, you should definitely have it, and I'll tell you why. There's the element of referral or the element of trust involved in a partner program. Someone will be referring or promoting your particular product, so there's, in comparison, a less chance of churn if you're talking about partnerships. Your competition could also be overlooking it as we speak, or they're just getting started, so that's also a good move to get ahead of time. It's also going to build your brand in a niche community of resellers. And I'm going to reference back to what I just said in the previous slide, that you need that early product market fit to actually start uh, a partner program, and I'll tell you why now. So what really happens is that all these resellers, they're to some extent interconnected, and if your product has not sort of passed through the earliest stages of like getting that initial revenue, they're all connected. And if the word sort of goes out wrong that your product is not solving that particular problem, it's going to be counterproductive for your overall products and company's image in the long run. So the good side of it is that it's going to build your particular brand. We get referred by our partners, colleagues, and their circle who are actually serving different continents to our product. So there's a referral mechanism as well. And you get to definitely meet like amazing people. I mean, Evan is like one of those people I met through this particular model, and you'll get to know a lot of different people who are doing like but going into areas which you are currently not even considering to like get into. So it's definitely a good ad. So these are the three key takeaways that like we decided to cover. And how do you actually find your partner audience? So I actually started in my own network, my friends, and warm introductions. So by warm introductions, I used our CEO's existing contacts to get in touch with them. Not everyone's going to be a good fit, but how it comes back to you is that they introduce you to someone who could be, which is good enough to just get the ball off the ground. You have to mainly sort of find answers to these four questions before I think that you actually step out to find someone to partner with, that who's going to sort of sell your particular product, and why do you think they're going to like sell your product, and what are the benefits that you could offer them. So your offer should also look something of a good sort of value. It shouldn't be it should be lasting, especially in SaaS. I would i would advise to sort of keep it restrictive to 3 months, 6 months, or even a year, and find ways to collaborate with them. How do you think that like they can offer or join hands with you? So one of the things that we did with one of our partners was we did a joint sort of webinar with their audience, which introduced our product to their audience. And I think we have close to, in 1 month we got close to 18 to 20 new customers. So you have to work with them rather than against them. And I think what comes after that is that you can expand your program as you identify your audience. So a partner program could be of any market. It could be an affiliate program, it could be a customer referral program, it could be a general IT, a consultancy or solutions architect partner program. It's very difficult to actually identify at the start that what you should like really start with. But once you get into the market, you'll get real insights of what kind of players exist for your particular product, and that's going to allow you to expand your program as you identify. So like we noticed that for our particular product, there's a very good market for channel resellers as well. And we did get like good response from our existing partners. So that's why we're also planning to like double down in this space. uh, Communicating with your partners is an equal sort of game plan. Once you onboard them, work is just actually getting started. You have to engage with them. Definitely your product is very new to them, so if you have a newsletter, make sure that they're also subscribed or added in the same list. If not, a dedicated um, monthly or quarterly newsletter, basic stuff should suffice. And the reason why I'm saying that is that it's going to allow them to remember that your company, your product exists. And I'm also sharing the templates which I used for our entire campaign. I'll share it in the uh, group, the Slack community later on, which you can download. And I've also mapped out a design structure which is going to allow you to actually make your uh, email templates based on our framework. And calling them is definitely the third channel which we use. And I take like frequent calls once a month, because now the scale is very big. But in the earliest stages, there were a couple of calls a week uh, with a partner as well, in terms of the value they were adding. So the two key lessons that I actually learned, and I think that you should know before you, or if you are in this space, is that you have to be really consistent, and you have to sort of follow up with each of your partners. You have to treat their customers or their clients uh, with equal care, and you can't sort of leave them out uh, hanging on their own. So you have to be very consistent with your efforts to make sure that your partners also want to work with you. And the ideal conversion frame for a prospect partner to an actual partner is somewhere to like 3 to 6 weeks. So if you're doing a campaign, or if you're out doing any outreach, then you should sort of stick with that. And I'd like to share an insight that we signed our biggest 6-figure uh, contract in sort of net contract value through one of our partners itself. So it has like brought in like a lot of value in terms of business, because I think there's the element of trust which the partners can utilize and add sort of a different uh, value to your existing setup. So this is like one of the campaigns, and this is like one of the email snippets and which I'm like sharing, and these are the campaign results that we sent out, like 106 emails, and there was like an 82% open rate, and 32% people replied. And this is how, an ideal sort of email structure should also look if you're reaching out to, potential new partners. That keep it short. It was more focused on, getting to the right person rather than selling on our product or service. And I think that's what you should also do. You should make sure that, there are like few variables attached into your campaign. And I've just done this at a good scale, because like 1.5 2 years of consistent efforts definitely brings in a lot of interest when compounded over time. So the three tips, that I have for you is that, you can deliver incremental value through your content. Keep those initial touch points once you onboard, your particular partners, to make sure that, you care about them, and you you have more information, more content to share with them. That newsletter is going to be like a very good ad, because this was actually a feedback I got from one of our partners, that we don't hear out much, from your company, which pushed me to actually start. So I'd give you a heads up, if you are in this space, that do that even without asking. And giving them resources, shout outs, or any sort of recognitions is also a good value add, because they're also trying to establish their name within their audience, within their space. So do that with each one of them. So this is how, like I said, that you should share resources. So Ethan is like one of our top partners, and this is another company that we work with. And if you can notice that Ethan has added our logo amongst other, companies that he works with. So uh, he's also, promoting it in his audience, and you'll also sort of see this sort of outlook with few of your partners, especially who are like specialized in that field. And this is another company that is a reseller, and he was like one of our earliest partners, and they have a landing page dedicated to us. We have few partners who have also, if I'm not mistaken, done a lot of video recordings about our product, and they sell only to their audience, and they've got like thousands of views. So if you support them, that's how sort of they can like give back and add uh, more value to your existing business. So to, sort of make it very straightforward, in like 2 years of like whatever work I've done, uh, in the earlier stages of, the partner space, I was trying to sort of bring them bring a lot of uh, partners on board, and trying to show them that, it could be a very good fit for their business. But I realized soon enough that it's not, partnerships is not about sales, it's not about sort of selling. It's more about working together rather than working for own benefit or against each other. So you have to solve the problems for your partners as well. And if you can do giveaways, contests, or, offers, I think uh, you'll find a lot of success there as well. So say for example, if a particular partner is hitting a certain threshold in an year, then you can definitely give them more bonus, which is going to incentivize them to sell more of your product. If you think that uh, you have a particular offer that is running for your customers, you can share that as well with your partners to make sure that end clients sort of make use of that. And if you think that you have 100 partners, 100 are going to work with you, I'll share that the Pareto principle sort of comes into effect here, that 20% of your total partners are going to be like the major winners in your entire program. So sometimes it takes more time to activate the partners, their initial sale, their first particular conversion, their first payout. It's so new for like each one of them. So I personally advise to keep the bar really uh, like substandard in the early stages, because that's going to add more proof to your product, your company. So just make sure that you don't go really hard on your own self, that you want to achieve a similar sort of uh, result. And it also depends the overall product and the market you're going after. And keep your offer simple. I've seen people really complicating their program. It doesn't have to be. You know the the real truth is that nobody has that much amount of time and effort to go through uh, 15 or 20 pages of contract to actually get started. Keep it a working relationship, and just don't add a lot of content, and make sure that your partner is going to go through it. Whatever you're offering, just keep it on the page, on your landing page, and keep it clear and clean, because you're still in the early or the initial stages. Yes, if you are at a very big scale, definitely at that point, definitely you should have a contractual framework. But I'm talking about the $0 to $1 million sort of journey, and you don't get a lot of very big partners, and you don't even want a very big partner for your particular product. So you're going to work with agencies, companies, affiliates, and nobody has the bandwidth to actually legally get into it or intellectually get into it. So if you are in SaaS, don't put a limit to your overall partner sort of commission payout. That don't restrict it to a time frame, because I mean I personally think that there are there would be few companies in your space who would be running a partner program. Look up to them, see their pages, and you'll get a sense of what I'm trying to communicate here. Because I mean some partners have been working with their clients for probably 3 to 5 years, and they wouldn't sort of want to promote your product in case there's a 3 month or 6 month offer. In e-commerce, that could still suffice where there's a one time sale. But in SaaS, I think that the longer it is, the better it is for you, because partners are also going to get like more clients, and they'll consistently onboard their clients onto your product and your program. So these are the few companies that like I said, have found success in this space. And I'm going to share monday.com, which recently got like public, was one of the companies that's making $30 million in like annual recurring revenue. And HubSpot is, I think, one of the biggest players in the partner space as well. They have a lot of agencies and solution architects. And the whole idea of this particular slide is that we started in like 2019, and in like sort of less than 2 years, we're making like $1 million in like revenue run rate. So if this year you can start, I'm 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 hoping that from this presentation and this slide deck, you could also take that particular action for your company and scale it to a particular sort of revenue run rate in the next couple of years. So this is how our program particularly grew in 2020. This does not include the first year's data. This is only last year, and you can see that it has consistently sort of grown. And I'm going to come back to the point which I was sharing in the previous slide, that don't try to restrict the timeline, especially in SaaS, because if you can see that the growth is also compounding. and partners like to do business with those companies for a longer run in their initial selection or ideal phase, which are not limiting their commissions. And from your perspective, from a company's perspective, it's going to reduce your churn as well, because sometimes they sort of take care of you know your client or their particular client, if they're saying that they want to cancel their particular account. And these guys also service their clients, and I'm talking agencies here. So that is what I had to share for today's session. I'd be sort of happy to take any question and answers, and if you think that you could be a good partner for our company, happy to hit my email address.
Awesome. Thanks, Shubham. This was great. There's a lot of information there. I mean, I've got a couple questions myself, but be curious to see who else has any. Like, just to kind of kick it off, I know when we had a chance to talk, one of the things that you said, this is not something you did on your own. There was a team behind you. Um, I think one of the biggest challenges, I mean, I've had when I launched my partner program, as well as a lot of people I talk to, is like really kind of selling it internally in terms of like resource allocation, like support, and kind of saying, look, this is the opportunity. There's not going to be an immediate revenue opportunity. It's not like you're getting a client and they're paying. There's a lag between the revenue and the time invested. How did you kind of like approach that with like your CEO and like kind of the leadership team to really get like that buy-in to give you that head start to start building this out?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I think that without the CEO, without the management, you really can't sort of work this out. There are some custom requests. These partners could also furnish in front of your company, so you have to make sure that the management is like totally aligned. Um, Coming to that question, I think if I talk about my particular case, I just went up and like took this interesting sort of scenario in front of uh, our management, and we were like very lean. In an early stage at that point of time. I think I was employee number 13 or 14. We're close to 100 now. So you just have to like share a plan, and I think a real plan more about how you could achieve that particular metric. And I remember I was given like a couple of months to really test it out. We weren't going into it like full time, or we weren't deploying a lot of resources to expand and spend, have a dedicated ad budget only for this program. We're just trying things out and sort of learned it on our way through experimentation and testing.
Um, Interesting. So did you like that 2 month experiment? Like, what did that look like? I'm just curious. Like, did you I mean, there's probably a few on this call that are, either just launching it. Like, what was your first action? Like, was it really just like getting on call with some partners and asking like, what is it going to take for us to work together? Like, what was the test? Like, what would you consider a test or a dry run to see whether there's a fit?
I think if I remember, like back in the day, I didn't do an action. I sort of went to like reading a lot of information as to like how to really get started. Uh, I'd spend like a lot of time to go through how other companies are running their partner programs and how they've found success. And one company I remember back in the day when I was like really starting was Infusionsoft or Keep, and I spoke to like one of their like partner managers, and he shared some very like deep insights that how they actually run. And he shared with me that there are like agencies who sell our product. They're like globally distributed, and I thought that that could be a good starting point for our product as well
So it was agencies that you kind of focused on to start with, right?
at the start. Yeah.
Like, did you go to like, agency shows, conferences? Like, I know there was a few things there on the email outreach and things like that, but I'm assuming you didn't start off with that. Like, what was like I guess, the first few partners that you got on board? Did it come to you, or did you have to like really sell them? Like, were you focused around like building like the core anchor partners that you would build off of, or was it just like anybody can join, and then you start working? Like, what were those first few partners, and how did you get them?
Yeah, I mean, the first few partners were actually like warm introductions by Gaurav, who's actually, our CEO. So because he was also onto this plan, and we sort of figured out that, it could be a good fit for agencies. And then we did a few sponsorships as well in different events. I remember one particular event was Freshworks event in LA. I think this was 2019, pre-COVID. So we got few agencies who are working with these companies inquire, and gradually through communication and like email, and yeah, I've done like outreach and calling as well. I wouldn't say that you should leave that out, because I mean, nobody is born with that sort of network to actually have partners. That's your best bet. I mean, you can do sponsorships and all, but that's definitely after you have like found that initial traction in your partner program. So that being said, I think a start is what you need, and you'll find it on your way.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things that is kind of interesting is like, there's really no textbook on this stuff, especially around building a kind of reseller network in SaaS. Anyway, there is that traditional kind of IT distribution part of it. It's been around for a while, but it's really learning through other people. And I know we've chatted where you jump on a call with somebody that looks to have a really successful distribution model, and they're very much still trying to figure it out. So it is constantly changing, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of starting simple and kind of building it out from there is kind of the key. So good on you for getting in there. Anybody else have any questions, specific questions? I mean, you've got a person here that's been able to systematically kind of build this out. I know there's a
I've got a
couple.
question. I've got
Yeah.
a question. Hey, this is Sanjay Goel from Nacho Nacho. Uh, so, can you talk a bit about the mechanics of your partner program? What software did you use? How do you do attribution? Is it just done manually? Because in the early days, there's low volume, so you can just manually do attribution and pay out, or did you use some kind of software, or did you build your own internal tools? That's one question. And the separate question is, among all the different types of partners,
Mm-hmm.
agencies, resellers, SIs, affiliates, which ones, how did you figure out that which ones will be your best channels or best types of partners?
Okay, got it. So at the real start, and I'm talking like day 0 to day 60, till day 60, it was more or less like Google Sheets. I didn't get into like a lot of technical stuff or a product. I do know that there's a very big market out there of these software products as well, but I was tracking each and every commission and payout on our Google Sheets. But a software that we use is, it's called First Promoter, and I know like Virgil, who's the founder, really well. So he sort of trained me one on one to as to how I could like use the software for maximum utilization. But I think at the very start, and if you're like still at like uh, day 0, then Google Sheets should suffice. Coming to your second question, that which channels, which sort of partner did we select? So like I said in the presentation, that you should basically start with a very normal partner program, and after that, what you can do is that once you see some sort of traction with affiliates, agencies, or maybe channel, you can delve into that space and grow even bigger for a particular product. I hope this answers.
You think it partly depends on how self-serve your product is? The more self-serve it is, the more it will go in a more specific type of partners, and the more involved it is in terms of onboarding and implementation, that will lead to a different type of partner.
I think it depends on every product, and if you're selling software, then user onboarding and UI UX, making it very easy to use, especially if you're selling to a small business. It's a I mean, it's a good question, but there's no specific answer. It comes with every product and business. But what I'd say is that if you're selling to partners, at least they should understand and know what your product is, because if they do, they can definitely take it to their audiences and sort of make you some more revenue.
On the training side for the partners in the onboarding, like, do you have that approach? Like, they do need to know the product, but like, and you also mentioned like having the ability for them to join easily without too many loops and too many forms and things like that. Like, what's that sweet spot? Like, you obviously want to make sure, are you testing their knowledge? Are you teaching them a little bit upfront? Like, what is that kind of 1 through 10 step on, them just finding out about your partner program or that distribution, and then getting them to a point where they're actually bringing in their first customer? Like, what does that journey look like?
Yeah, so in the earliest days, when we were just getting started, I used to go on each and every call and make sure that the partner knows the areas and the aspects of every feature they should know for their client. So JustCall is a cloud-based phone system, so definitely it has to make a call. And that point of time, I mean, I was very new, so I had to make sure that our like partners also know how to really make a call and integrate it with their existing setup. So all in the earlier days is in the early days, definitely that was part of our training stack. But now over time, I think like our product and engineering team has done like a very good job, so it's mostly now self-serve because the product has also evolved.
Right on.
Now, now, if I'm going on the calls, it's more about their customers who signed up, commissions and reports. The product is sort of taking care of itself.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it took you a while to get to that point. And that's the thing, a lot of people try to do everything at the same time. It's like, oh, I need to, I need this tracking tool. I need this, like, it needs to plug into my CRM. It needs to, like, everything needs to be reporting. And then, and that's great if you have the resource to do it. But, even starting with just a, Excel sheet or something like that, and just tracking like 5 partners, like, and jumping on every call, is going to give you enough like fuel to kind of start leveling it up versus like kind of launch. It's the same as like, launching a product. And it's never going to be perfect. You just need the first viable one and then build it from there, right?
That's true.
Shubham, real quick, Evan, if I may, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
Shubham, what does your social media strategy look like when it comes to reaching out and nurturing those relationships as you're building the pipeline for partnerships?
I think our in-house media team, social media team, takes very good care of making sure our product goes out. Our sponsors or our integration partners also add to that value in terms of getting new partners. So there's a CRM company called Pipedrive, and we were like one of their top integration partners in for the past couple of years. So that has sort of brought in a lot of leads for us, partner leads for us. And for us, we just focus mainly on the newsletter for our partners. Because I mean, I wanted to share this with like Evan, that when Evan was sharing that what or how we can sort of start with Google Sheets and Excel sheet, that I remember that it's not easy when you're starting out. You're trying to like your customers, you're trying to find your initial partners. So it's better to sort of start really small and simple and sort of scale it as it grows.
So on the partner recruitment side, that's a huge topic that keeps recurring, because it's, people are using certain tactics, certain campaigns that you would kind of mimic what a customer acquisition is. So it's like, whether it's a webinar or whatever that lead magnet is, but it's definitely focused more around partner recruitment. Are you doing any like very specific partner recruitment like campaigns, or are you just working one-on-one with like your existing partner network as well as your integration partners to make sure that you're kind of cross promoting and things like that? I think it's like the question is more like, do you have any like specific like campaigns that you run that are like solely focused around getting new blood in the program?
The only campaign that like we're focusing on is sponsoring events for our integration partners. I think that's like worked out well for us. One insight that we learned was that like our biggest competitor started, I think, 1.5 years before us, and we're 10x bigger in terms of our like partner team or our partner scale than them. So they were early to the market, but we were early to the partner program. So just what I'm trying to share here is that it's never too late. I mean, even if you're also thinking, I don't think there's any downside for your particular product if there's that initial product market fit.
Right on. Any other questions, folks?
I think there were a few questions.
I'm just gonna do like the awkward silence for like 45 seconds. Just all sit here. I know like every single person's got a question. Like it's a matter of like, do you just need time to like articulate it, or are you shy? I'm not really sure, but we'll just let it kind of run like in silence for like 40 seconds.
Yeah. No, so I think we can start with the questions posted in the chat, which I think we've shamelessly missed on so far.
I think we've touched on most of them. I'm just kind of flying through them. I think that internal buying is always a big one. You kind of touched on that. I mean, so how do you work with like, obviously right now when there's revenue facing, you've got $1 million that is recurring. Everybody understands the value, but early on, like, is there any words of wisdom you would kind of impart in terms of like building that buying with like your leadership team, like avoid saying this, or don't overcomplicate, or anything in particular around that front?
So I think Gaurav, who's also our CEO, he's a third time entrepreneur, and I think he did bring like a lot of experience to the table in the first place. The second thing in terms of buy-in was, I mean, how you really handle your stuff, what you're like bringing to the table. If you're facing that sort of problem, you can look, how other companies have scaled that program. And I mean, getting started is the only pearl of wisdom I have, because that's what I really did. What's happened, over the past like couple of years is just the result of that. So start a program, and if it doesn't work, you don't have to like really stick it around, because it's not going to be your core offering, at least at the start. So Evan, I during my research only, I like realized that there are a lot of companies who only sell only through partners. They don't sell direct to customers, and I was like super surprised. And I can like name out a few. I remember there's this company called 3CX. Do check it out. Okay, they're like 100% partner focused sales, and they have like 1,000 or 1,500 partners distributed in throughout the world, and they're not selling direct to customers. It's a very old company, and they're doing like they're making good money. So there are companies that exist, definitely in your space as well, who found success. So have a look.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, so Shubham is actually in the Slack community, and I know there's a few people here that are not in there. So definitely join. It's free to join the Cloud Software Association. There is an executive membership there that's this fee-based, but the community member is free. And Shubham is actually part of the community. So if you do have any questions that come up, you can shoot the question there. But the network itself is made up of essentially partnership leaders across SaaS. We got over 4,000 members, so there's constantly conversations happening around this stuff. So join, and we'll talk to you then. Thanks for joining me. And thanks, Shubham, for the presentation. It was excellent.
Likewise. Bye bye, Evan, and have a great day.
Thanks, folks.